The family dinner started like any other night. Vance sat at the head of the table, scrolling through his phone while Evelyn and Carter recounted their days. I placed the last dish on the table, soaking in the warmth of having my children home. "This looks delicious, Mom," Evelyn said with a smile. Vance finally looked up from his phone. "We need to talk." An uneasy silence fell over the table. Vance cleared his throat. "I'm leaving your mother, for Fleur." The words hung in the air like a thick fog. Evelyn's fork clattered against her plate. Carter's eyes widened, his mouth agape. "What are you saying?" I whispered, gripping the edge of the table. "I'm in love with Fleur," Vance stated plainly. "We're moving in together." Rage bubbled up inside me. "How could you do this to our family?" Vance shrugged. "It just happened. I'm sorry, but I can't keep living a lie." Evelyn shot up from her chair. "You arrogant bastard, after everything Mom has done for you?" "Evelyn, please." I reached for her hand, but she yanked it away. Carter stayed silent, his eyes darting between us. "I want a divorce," Vance declared. "We'll divide up the assets fairly." I wanted to scream, to hurl the plates across the room, but I simply nodded, numb with shock and humiliation. Vance stood abruptly. "I'll be staying at a hotel tonight." He turned and walked out, leaving our family shattered in his wake. After Vance left, an eerie silence consumed the house. Evelyn paced back and forth, her fists clenched. Carter stared blankly at his plate, pushing food around with his fork. "I can't believe this is happening," I finally said, my voice cracking. Evelyn whirled towards me. "How could you not see this coming, Mom? Dad's been different for months." I flinched at her words. Deep down I knew she was right. The late nights at the office, the emotional distance, I had ignored all the signs. "I'm so sorry," I whispered, burying my face in my hands. I was in denial. Carter placed a comforting hand on my shoulder. "This isn't your fault, Mom. Dad's the one who threw it all away." We sat in silence for several long minutes, the weight of Vance's betrayal hanging over us. Finally, I stood up. "I need some air," I said, grabbing my jacket. The cool evening breeze provided little solace as I wandered aimlessly through the park. Couples strolled by, hand in hand, with their love a cruel reminder of what I had lost. "Marianne, is that you?" I turned to see Jessica Wilkins, an old friend from my book club days. "Oh, Jess!" "Hi," I said, attempting a smile. "Are you all right?" She studied my face with concern. "You look devastated." I opened my mouth, but no words came out. Tears streamed down my cheeks as the hurt and humiliation washed over me anew. Jess pulled me into a gentle hug. "Tell me what's wrong." Through broken sobs, I recounted Vance's heartless revelation over dinner, how he had been having an affair, how he was leaving me for his young coworker. Jess's eyes widened in disbelief. "That rat! I knew something was off when I saw him and that little tramp all over each other at the gardener's barbecue last month." My heart stopped. "What did you say?" "Vance and some girl half his age. They were all over each other, kissing and groping like lovesick teenagers." Jess shook her head in disgust. I couldn't believe my eyes. White-hot anger surged through me, replacing the sadness. Vance's lies and deception played on a sickening loop in my mind. "He's going to pay for this," I said through gritted teeth. "I'll make sure he loses everything." Jess squeezed my arm reassuringly. "You're damn right he will. We'll take that bastard down together." For the first time since Vance's revelation, I felt a glimmer of hope. My humiliation would be his downfall. The next morning, I sat across from Amanda Green, the most cutthroat divorce attorney in town. Her office was sleek and modern, with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city skyline. "So, Mrs. Lawrence," she began, "walk me through the details." I took a deep breath, recounting Vance's cold declaration over dinner. Amanda's expression hardened as I described his affair with Fleur, the younger woman from his office. "That snake," she muttered, jotting notes. "We'll make sure he doesn't slither away with a dime more than he deserves." Relief washed over me. For the first time, I felt like I wasn't alone in this battle. "What's our next move?" I asked, leaning forward. Amanda smirked. "First, we need evidence, proof of his infidelity, any financial paper trails, everything we can use to crush him in court." I thought back to Jess's revelation about witnessing Vance and Fleur's shameless public display. I might have a lead on that. Amanda's eyes lit up. "Excellent. Get me anything and everything you can find." As I left her office, a newfound determination coursed through me. Vance wanted to play dirty? Two could play that game. Over the next few weeks, I followed his every move like a private investigator. I documented his late nights at the office and compiled witness statements from our friends who had seen him and Fleur together. One fateful evening, I caught him leaving a shady motel with Fleur in tow. I snapped photos as they kissed passionately, unaware of my presence. Sickening, but exactly the ammunition I needed. With each piece of damning evidence, my anger grew, at Vance's deception, at the years of lies. But more than anything, I fixated on the diamond tennis bracelet he had gifted Fleur, no doubt purchased with our family's money. When I finally presented everything to Amanda, her cold eyes gleamed with satisfaction. "This is perfect," she purred, flipping through the photos and documents. "We have him dead to rights." I clenched my fists, fueled by a burning sense of justice. "I want to destroy him, Amanda, utterly and completely." She leaned back in her chair with a wicked grin. "Don't worry, Mrs. Lawrence. By the time we're through, Vance won't know what hit him." Over the next few weeks, I became obsessed with gathering evidence against Vance. Every waking moment was consumed by thoughts of catching him in the act, of compiling an undeniable case against his misdeeds. One evening, as I tailed him to yet another seedy motel rendezvous with Fleur, I noticed another car in the parking lot. A sleek black sedan. Curiosity got the better of me, and I waited to see who would emerge. To my surprise, a woman around my age stepped out, her face contorted with rage as she slammed the car door shut. I watched her storm into the motel's lobby, fists clenched at her sides. Without thinking, I got out of my car and followed her inside. She was pacing back and forth, muttering curses under her breath. "Are you okay?" I ventured, approaching cautiously. She whirled around, eyes blazing. "Do I look okay to you?" I raised my palms in surrender. "You just seem upset." The woman scoffed bitterly. "That's an understatement. I just caught my lying, cheating bastard of a husband checking into this dump with his mistress." My jaw dropped. "You're kidding." "I wish I was," she spat. 10 years of marriage down the drain. A sickening sense of kinship washed over me. Here was a woman experiencing the same gut-wrenching betrayal I had endured. "My name's Marianne," I said softly, "and I know exactly how you feel." Over coffee, I recounted my own nightmarish tale with Vance and Fleur. The woman, Jessa, listened intently, nodding in understanding. "Scumbags, the both of them," she seethed when I finished. "We can't let them get away with this." Something ignited inside me at her words. A fire I thought Vance had extinguished. "You're right," I said firmly. "They made their beds, and now it's time to lie in them." Jess's eyes narrowed determinedly. "What did you have in mind?" In that moment, a bond was forged. Two wronged women, united in our quest for justice. We began plotting, strategizing every angle to take down our unfaithful spouses. With Jess's help, my surveillance efforts doubled. We tracked Vance and her husband Mitch's every illicit move, documenting their lies with cold efficiency. We'd pool our resources, sharing information and covering each other's blind spots. One fateful evening, we uncovered the smoking gun, proof that Vance had been diverting money from our joint accounts to fund his lavish lifestyle with Fleur. My blood boiled at the revelation. He wasn't just betraying our vows, but robbing from our children's future. As Jessa and I pored over the damning financial records, a wicked smile crossed her lips. "This is it," she muttered, "the final nail in their coffins." I squeezed her hand, matching her vicious grin. "Let's bury them." With the financial paper trail in hand, Jessa and I knew we had Vance and Mitch dead to rights. But simply taking them to court wasn't enough. We wanted them to burn for their betrayal. We spent hours strategizing, plotting our next move with surgical precision. Finally, Jessa's eyes lit up with a sinister glint. "I've got it," she announced. "The Westbrook Charity Gala next weekend." I frowned in confusion. "What about it?" Jessa grinned wickedly. "It's the biggest social event of the season. Everyone who's anyone will be there, including our lying spouses and their mistresses." Realization dawned on me, and I matched her devilish smile. The perfect stage to expose them. "Exactly," Jessa purred. "We'll make a grand entrance looking like $1,000,000. Then we drop the bomb on them. The evidence, the money trail, all of it." My heart raced at the thought of publicly humiliating Vance, of shattering his pristine reputation into 1,000,000 pieces. "They'll have nowhere to hide," I murmured. "Their worlds will come crashing down around them." Jessa clapped me on the back. "Damn straight, we're going scorched earth on these bastards." In the days leading up to the gala, we prepared meticulously. I splurged on a slinky crimson gown that hugged every curve, coupled with towering stilettos that doubled as weapons of mass destruction. Jessa's own jaw-dropping ensemble left no curves to the imagination. We pored over the guest list, confirming the attendance of our targets, as well as high-profile social figures and media outlets. This spectacle was going prime time. The night of the gala, Jessa and I arrived fashionably late. All eyes locked on us as we made our grand entrance. I spotted Vance almost immediately, looking dashing in his tuxedo with Fleur draped on his arm like a cheap accessory. The sight made my blood boil. We worked the room methodically, greeting old friends and making polite small talk, all while discreetly spreading the word to be prepared for fireworks later in the evening. Finally, as the keynote speaker took the stage, Jessa gave me a subtle nod. Showtime. I tapped my champagne glass with a spoon, the crisp pinging sound slicing through the hushed ballroom. All eyes turned towards me as I cleared my throat. "Excuse me, everyone," I announced in my most saccharine voice. "I'm afraid we have a situation that demands immediate attention." Jessa slinked up beside me, reveling in the hushed murmurs rippling through the crowd. She produced a glossy manila folder, letting the stack of papers and photographs spill carelessly onto the stage. "My friend Marianne and I," she called out loudly, "have been respectful wives and mothers for decades, but it seems our dear husbands have a hard time respecting their vows." I shot Vance a pointed glare as gasps echoed across the ballroom. He paled, clutching Fleur's arm in a stranglehold. "For months we've compiled evidence of their infidelity," I declared, my voice dripping with venom. "Their lies, their illicit trysts in seedy motels, their stolen money funding their sordid affairs." Whispers and muted shrieks bounced off the walls as the high society crowd took in the lurid photographs and financial statements. A hot-faced Vance shrank in his seat. "Well, ladies and gentlemen," Jessa sneered into the microphone, "I do hope you're prepared to shun these shameless degenerates accordingly, because this is just the beginning." With a wicked grin, she turned back to me as the room erupted into chaos. "Shall we, darling?" The aftermath of our exposure at the gala was nothing short of explosive. Cameras flashed from every angle as reporters swarmed us, shouting rapid-fire questions about the scandal unfolding before their eyes. "Mrs. Lawrence, can you confirm the allegations against your husband?" "Miss Peters, how long has this affair been going on?" I batted them away with a dismissive wave. "I'll be making an official statement shortly. For now, I have a more pressing matter to attend to." Pushing through the frenzied crowd, I locked eyes with Vance. His face was twisted with panic and rage as he attempted to shield Fleur from the onslaught. "You," he sputtered, struggling to find words. "How could you do this to me? To us?" A harsh laugh escaped my lips. "Are you serious right now, after everything you've put me through?" Fleur clung to his arm, pale and trembling. For once, the smug little tramp looked appropriately rattled. "I never wanted to hurt you," Vance pleaded, his voice cracking. "But Fleur, we're in love." My jaw clenched at his pathetic excuse. "Save it. I have proof you've been funneling our money to this side piece for months." I gestured towards the stacks of documents still scattered across the stage. "Not just cheating on me, but stealing from our own children's future." Vance's eyes widened in panic as the weight of the evidence became clear. Around us, the ballroom had descended into chaos, shrill shrieks and furious shouts echoing from every corner. "I'll lose everything," he whispered, horror dawning across his features. "My job, my reputation." A cruel smile tugged at my lips. "Good, that's exactly what I was going for." Jessa appeared at my side, reveling in Vance's rapidly crumbling world. "You scumbags didn't just betray us," she sneered. "You betrayed the entire community with your lies and debauchery." "Think about how this is going to play out," I taunted, taking a step closer to Vance. "Society wives whispering about the married men who couldn't keep it in their pants, corporate sponsors dropping you like a bad habit once the press gets hold of those money trails." Panic flickered across Fleur's face as the realization set in, her future as a disgraced, ostracized mistress. Vance simply gaped at me, stunned into silence by the devastation I had wrought. Turning on my heel, I looped my arm through Jessa's as we strode away from the chaos, our heads held high. "I'm not done with him yet," I murmured under my breath. "Not by a long shot." Jessa squeezed my hand reassuringly. Of course not, honey. We've still got the courts for the final knockout blow. A wicked smile crossed my lips as I reveled in my newfound power. For far too long, I had been reduced to a doormat by Vance and his ego, but not anymore. The tables had turned, and they were about to learn a brutal lesson about the fury of a woman scorned. The weeks following the gala were a media frenzy. Our explosive exposure of Vance and Mitch's affairs dominated the headlines and social media chatter. I watched with sick satisfaction as their reputations crumbled beneath the weight of public outcry. Corporate sponsors dropped Vance's firm like a ton of bricks, disgusted by his embezzlement and debauchery. Fleur found herself blacklisted by every social circle, her scarlet letter branding her as a homewrecker. Even Mitch's once thriving business took a nosedive as clients jumped ship. As for me, I reveled in my new status as a wronged woman reclaiming her power, an inspiration to scorned wives everywhere, according to the glossy magazine profiles. My daring takedown sparked a movement of empowered women refusing to be doormats any longer. Of course, none of it would matter if I didn't secure the ultimate victory in court. The day of the divorce proceedings, I strode into the courthouse like a conquering warrior, Jessa and my children at my side. Vance slouched in his seat, his expensive suit doing little to conceal the dark circles beneath his eyes. "Looking a little worse for wear there, honey," I taunted with a sickly sweet smile. He shot me a venomous glare but remained silent. Fleur wasn't even present, another small victory. As the proceedings commenced, Amanda wasted no time in ruthlessly dismantling Vance's case brick by brick. The evidence of his infidelity and embezzlement mounted with each exhibit, each witness called to the stand. I watched him squirm, sweat beading on his brow as his world crumbled entirely. Every dirty secret, every sordid lie laid bare before the court and broadcast for the world to see through the ravenous media present. When it finally came time for him to take the stand, Vance was a mere shell of the arrogant blowhard I had once loved. His gaze flitted around the courtroom desperately before settling on me with a pleading look. "Marianne," he began, voice cracking, "I'm so sorry for everything. I never meant to hurt you or the kids like this. I was selfish and stupid, and I'll regret this for the rest of my life." I stared back impassively, unmoved by his pathetic attempt at an apology. "Your Honor," Amanda spoke up coolly, "I believe we've established a clear pattern of deceit, embezzlement, and wanton disregard for his marital vows on behalf of Mr. Lawrence." The judge, a stern-faced, no-nonsense woman, nodded curtly. "Indeed, this court has more than enough evidence to grant Mrs. Lawrence's demands for an extremely favorable settlement." A soft gasp escaped Vance's lips as the reality crashed over him. Years of his affair, his underhanded money moves, all for nothing in the face of my righteous vengeance. Evelyn and Carter squeezed my hands tightly, beaming with pride. Jessa offered me a subtle wink and a nod of respect. As the judge's gavel slammed down, I felt an immense weight lifted from my shoulders. The shackles of Vance's betrayal, the years of playing the fool, all of it evaporated in that moment. I was free. And he had lost everything. The crisp autumn air held a sense of renewal as I stepped through the doorway of my new home, a cozy two-story bungalow in a quieter neighborhood, leaving behind the cavernous empty house that once represented my marriage's emptiness. As I trailed my fingers along the warm wooden banister, I felt a weight finally lifting from my shoulders. The past year's turmoil had taken its toll, but I refused to let Vance's betrayal define me any longer. "This is a fresh start, Mom," Evelyn said softly, placing a reassuring hand on my arm. "A chance to live life on your own terms again." I smiled at my daughter, struck by her steadfast support through the entire ordeal. Carter emerged from the kitchen, arms laden with boxes. "Where do you want these?" he grunted, ever the helping hand. With a contented sigh, I gestured towards the sitting room. "Just set them by the fireplace for now. We've got all the time in the world to unpack and settle in." Carter grinned cheekily. "Don't have to tell me twice. I'm claiming the biggest bedroom." "Fair is fair." Evelyn playfully swatted at him as they bickered upstairs, their laughter filling the empty halls with life once more. Left alone, I wandered through the spacious living area, picturing how I would decorate and make this place truly my own sanctuary. No more muted tones and stuffy decor chosen to impress pretentious country club cronies. This home would reflect the woman I had become, vibrant, self-assured, unchained. The shrill ring of my phone shattered the peaceful moment. I frowned at the caller ID, Vance's number, yet again. "I told you not to contact me," I said curtly after reluctantly answering. "Marianne," his voice was thick with desperation. "Please, just hear me out one last time. What we had, it wasn't all bad, was it?" I squeezed my eyes shut, resisting the urge to hurl the phone across the room. How typical of him to try crawling back with meaningless platitudes now that he had lost everything. "Save your breath, Vance," I snapped. "You made your choices, and I've made mine. This is my life now, one free of your lies and betrayal." There was a heavy pause before he finally spoke again, reined in defeat. I'm so sorry, Marianne, for everything." His voice cracked with emotion. "I hope you find happiness." The line went dead as I slowly lowered the phone, letting the weight of his apology hang in the air. But this time, it didn't sting. I felt nothing but cold indifference towards the man who had shattered my world. Rejoining my children in the sitting room, I dug through a box of framed photos until I found the one I wanted, a candid snapshot from years ago, all four of us laughing and embracing on the beach. Vance wasn't a part of this memory, not anymore. I carefully placed the frame on the mantel, a poignant reminder of what truly mattered, the family bond Vance could never break, no matter how hard he tried. "You know," I said softly, wrapping my arms around Evelyn and Carter, "I think this new chapter is going to be the best one yet." My smile widened as I drank in the love and support radiating from their faces. For the first time in forever, the future seemed wide open, ripe with possibilities for joy, adventure, even romance. No more walking on eggshells, no more wilting beneath the shadow of someone else's selfish desires. This life was solely mine to cultivate and nourish, blossoming with the unstoppable spirit of a woman reclaiming her power. Autumn had never looked so beautifully inviting.